What's up, gamers? It's your host, Cobra, and today we've got Chicken Derby Racing, plus a big update on Pecking Order. Chicken Derby opened up public paid racing a little over 2 weeks ago now, and during that time here at the Freeroll, we have definitely picked up our chicken racing activity quite a bit. All of the chickens in my coop have hit the racetrack at least once at this point, and several of them are dialing in which distances and terrains they are best on. I've got a couple that I've really been focusing on first. I honestly chose them primarily based on two things: their chick race results, and do they have a cool cosmetic trait that I really want to show off. So I have a vampire sultan that has been on the track quite a bit. I also have a de-evolution sultan that has been racing a lot as well, and a exclusive golden comb sultan that was the only chick to win its first race and has been doing very nicely on those rocky terrains like we talked about. Quick programming note, because I know a bunch of you aren't going to make it to the end of the video, double check for me right now that you've hit that subscribe button. It really helps support the channel. And also, I always put timestamps and links in the description below if you want more information about anything that I'm talking about, or just want to skip ahead to a particular section. It's really easy by scrolling down. Evaluating Chicken Derby has been all sorts of fun and interesting, and it's because this is at least the fifth or sixth racing game that has come out that we have played. A majority of those have been covered on this channel as well. I know we've looked at Nova Rally last summer. We've been covering Zed Run for a long time. We've been covering Riot Racers for a long time as well, and very heavily recently. And now Chicken Derby as well has been on our radar for several months and starting to get more coverage too. The thing that's interesting is each one of these games has approached their project a little bit differently. Now, I do believe the large influx of racing games that we're seeing early on is heavily influenced by the early success that Zed Run had. However, in my opinion, the fun part about Zed Run early on was really more the breeding as opposed to the racing. We never really had a ton of fun doing racing with Zed Run here at the Freeroll. I know several others enjoy it quite a bit, and they are fun to watch. But in my opinion, it's the breeding aspect that got the project to really boom for a few months and put it on the map. And all of these other games, while they very clearly are taking inspiration from Zed, have chosen a different route to market, which is quite interesting and I think very smart. That said, let's focus on what makes Chicken Derby unique and different. And they have taken a different approach than really all of the rest of the games that we have played. The closed beta that they put out in December was rough, but it came really quickly and efficiently, so not a problem. I appreciate that they were willing to show us the product, let us interact with it at such an early stage. It was rough at that point, and getting into races was difficult. However, a few weeks ago, they opened up to public beta, and part of public beta means that races are on and generating all of the time. That means the pressure to get in during a short limited window has been removed, and you can race at the time of day that you want, and you can get into a race at any given point throughout the day. You can even, within a reasonable amount of time, find the specific race that you're looking for, that you believe your bird runs best on, and get into that one so that you can target a specific race type, which is very cool. So how is the game itself? The good news here is that for the last several weeks, and even the end of the closed beta period, the app has been running well. Using it is relatively intuitive. The UI definitely still has room for improvement, but that is in the works already. The key, though, is that finding a race, entering your chicken, and having some fun is relatively easy and straightforward. The process works smoothly. The transactions are relatively quick. They are free and gasless, which is really, really important here. And the race itself is fun. It doesn't take too long for it to fill up. And once it does, you've got a couple of seconds before the race starts, and you can watch it live. You can also come back at your convenience later on in the day and watch the race whenever you like. They have taken the important step of hiding the results before you are able to click on the watch button, which is really important for keeping the suspense up. The races themselves are not too long, pretty similar to watching a Zed Run race. Does depend a little bit on the distance that you choose, of course. But in my opinion, it's a little bit more interesting to watch because they're chickens and they behave differently than horses do on a racetrack. The most important thing here is, of course, that we are having fun. None of these PDE games work really at all if the players themselves are not having a good time while playing. And that is really important because as time goes by, we're going to have a lot more options for play to earn, and the fun ones are the ones that are going to win. That said, this game is about to get a lot more fun. Now, we don't know exactly when this update is coming, but eventually they are going to turn on talents. And talents is a feature that is essentially a special ability for each chicken. They range from common to ultra rare. It can be as simple as pulling out a machine gun and firing at some of your opponents, all the way to creating a black hole that sucks in the rest of the competition. It's going to add quite a bit of chaos on track, in my opinion, and it's going to make watching these a lot more interesting and a lot more fun. Think Mario Kart in terms of the chaos that will be happening on the track. And once that happens, the ability to come from behind and win at the last second, in my opinion, goes way, way up. And regardless, watching the races themselves is going to be a lot more fun and exciting because you never know when or if some chicken's special talent is going to be triggered. One improvement that is not required immediately, but that we would like to see as soon as possible, is a better ability to review race data and race results, specifically at a per chicken level. Today, if you want to see how a particular chicken has done in all of its races, you go to My Coop, you click on the chicken, and it will show you a history, but you got to click on each one to get the full details and the race time. So it's a bit challenging to get one single view where you can analyze your chicken and say, all right, they did poorly on sand, they did really good on rock. Let's try some additional rock terrain races. I also see that they did better in the shorter races and worse in the longer races. So let's make it rock terrain with 140 meters or less distance, and then see how those results come in. Because of that, we've been keeping a spreadsheet, so we have an easier way to view all of our chicken racing results. But over time, that is going to become quite wieldy as well, and really it's not reasonable to expect that a typical player is going to be doing that level of tracking. So for the long-term health of the game, that's something that they're going to have to improve within the UI, and there's no reason to expect that that won't come in the near future. Some good news here is that the team at Chicken Derby is absolutely listening to the feedback they're getting from the racing community, and as such, they've put out their first update earlier today on March 25th, which brings two big changes. The first one is players have simply been asking for more free races, which I think is a great idea. The reason here is currently a chicken gets to race its first race for free. It's called a chick race, and the idea is that it's a little bit of discovery. You get to pick out a race, enter for free, and see if your chicken's any good or not. The issue there is if you chose poorly, and it's really just guessing at that point, then your chicken probably did poorly or finished towards the middle of the pack, and that doesn't tell you a whole lot from just one race. So they are increasing the number of chick races that you get with a chicken to 7 from 1. So that is 6 additional free races. If you have not raced your chicken just yet, then when you log in after this update, you'll have the ability to enter into up to 7 chick races. If you're like me and you entered them all into a chick race already, then that status is going to be reset to 1, and you're going to be able to enter into 6 more free races. Now, once that is done, you're back to paid only. Just not that big a deal, especially because the cheapest races right now are only about $2 to enter, and since it's gasless, that is very, very reasonable for Discovery as well. However, I am going to have a lot of fun doing all of those additional free races because there is a little bit of a prize pool, so maybe we can grind out a little bit of ETH that way. But specifically, is it going to make it a lot easier and cheaper to test out the birds that didn't do so well on their very first. The other really important change here is that they are updating the pecking order system. Now, pecking order is essentially a class system for grouping the chickens together into different racing tiers, which is important because you want as many of the chickens in the population as possible to have some kind of chance at winning. And if you have a poor chicken today and you're forced to go up against a race of a bunch of really good chickens and 99 Saramas, 100 Sultans, things like that, then you're going to struggle quite a bit and you're probably just going to lose money over and over. However, having multiple tiers means that the slowest chickens, the worst racers, will be at the bottom tier. They'll have smaller prize pools, but they'll have a chance to win. Conversely, the best chickens will rise in the ranks and they will be racing against each other for the biggest prizes. This is a lot more fun for everybody. And the current state is they've got 3 different tiers. A for the best chickens, B and C for the lesser chickens. They are adding 2 additional tiers to that. At the top is going to be the S tier. So those will be the best chickens at that point. At the bottom will be the D tier, and that will be the lowest tier of racing and the smallest prize pools. Now, to support these additional tiers, they have also changed up the pecking order points formula and what is required for each tier. We've got those over here. As you can see, the ranges are a little bit bigger, a little bit different now. The other important thing to note is that to accelerate the path towards getting these chickens into the correct tier that they should be, they are adding some bonus points to certain high-end chickens. We again have that listed over here, and you can see if you have a really high percentage Sarama or even a 95 plus Sultan, you're going to get some bonus points and you're going to see that chicken potentially moving up quicker. In my opinion, these are all really smart and important changes. However, get out there and test them out. They are going to be live, it seems like, later today on the 25th, which means we'll be able to see them in action very soon. And the reality here is when changes like this are made to the ecosystem, they might sound great on paper and sometimes just not work out that well in reality. It's easy to overlook a detail or not consider a particular outcome until you've seen some results. And so for that reason, it's important to give the team feedback after you've checked out the new system. If you like the way that it is working, if you find that the races are more competitive now and that your chickens are finding a natural home in their appropriate pecking order, tell the team so. If it's not working that well and now your chicken is stuck at the S tier but can't win ever, let them know that as well. Expect the pecking order to be something that they play with quite a bit, especially as the game matures and develops. And that wraps up our Chicken Derby update. So far, the game is fun and only getting better. The earning potential is still relatively small unless you've got a monster chicken that's just beating up everybody on the track, but that's okay. It is going to continue to develop, and there are plenty of additional play and earn mechanics to be released in the future as well. If you enjoyed this video, and I hope you did, consider giving us a follow on Twitter. That's where I love to interact with fans and answer questions. Also, do me a favor and make sure that you have hit that like and subscribe button to help support the channel.